makes me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? Need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
You know we need them.
Your dose of radio rehab.
Sometimes we need them bad.
Strategies
A
for
lot of
living
days
radio.
more than others, but hey, you ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
Oh, can I sit here?
You can, yeah, at the
Thanks.
table?
Yeah.
Come on, pull on up to
All
the
right,
table.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Welcome, folks. Welcome into another edition of Strategies for a Living. Glad you're at the table today with us. I'm Dr. David McMillan. She is psychotherapist, PLPC, Lauren Leon Who are you again? McMillan?
Yeah.
Here at the
Gosh.
table.
Yeah, you
And,
invited me in and didn't even know who I was. You know what? That happens more often than people know.
You know, that's right. So I can claim that I did that on purpose.
You did.
It wouldn't
I
be
believe
true, but I could claim it, right? So you've started now, and we've been talking about tables. Why in the world are we talking
we're
so
turning
much
tables.
about tables? We're turning the tables today.
That's right.
Well, you know, here's the deal. Not everybody deserves a seat at our tables.
Right.
And, you know, Lauren, we've been talking a lot here lately about
Energy, alignment.
alignment. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, you know, again, conversation you and I were having earlier, you had this idea that you shared with me about, well, not everyone deserves a seat at the table. And,
Right.
and that's not rejection.
No.
It's alignment.
Right. It's about who you choose to invite into your space purposefully, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know that I can exactly personally claim the whole idea. It's one of those sort of downloads that I got in my morning.
Your people, whoever they are
Yes.
and wherever they may be from, kind of helped you out with this.
Yes, they offered me this idea of, well, how could you look at this? And it came, of course, in the form of this acronym of table.
Okay.
Right?
Well, we're
Who
going
can
to,
sit at your table.
I hope people will pull up and take a,
And we're inviting them.
and we're inviting
They're
you to
allowed.
pull up and take a seat at our table today as we look at this idea of not everybody should be invited into your table. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you being with us, and we appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX. We train your brain. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of The Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, pretty good Muffies too, SRT Sales Training, Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. Who's at your table? Who do you invite to your table? We're going to talk about it today here on Strategies for Living.
Tune in daily, find the light. Healthy mind and spirits bright. Strategies for living strong. Feel the vibe, it won't go wrong. Body moves and soul align. Catch the rhythm, feel the time. Radio we have every day. Chase those clouds of gray away. Your daily dose of radio rehab. Lift you up when skies seem trapped. Mind and body, spirits free. Living life in harmony.
Welcome into your daily dose of radio rehab. Welcome to the table. Glad you have pulled up. You know, the table, this idea of not everybody belongs at our table,
Right.
you know? So the idea of table, I think, is is a pretty neat deal because your table is your energy. It's
Right.
your life.
Right.
And so, the things that really make the table, your time,
Mm-hmm.
your investment of energy.
Right.
What am I leaving out?
Well, we all have the table, right?
Yeah.
Whether we realize it or not. It's who you let speak into your life,
Yep.
who you process emotions with,
Yep.
and like you said, who has access to your time. But I'm going to add also who has access to your thoughts.
Okay,
and
so
who takes up your mind space.
so that's not only your emotional space, but it's also your
Mental.
cognitive and mental space.
Yes. Yeah.
And we let others hitch a ride
Oh, man.
there a lot.
who
As
lives there rent free?
Yeah,
They're sitting at your table.
yeah. And I mean, we've talked before about the idea of vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Not the idea in the movies sucking our blood, but sucking our energy. I mean,
Right.
we all have vampires in our lives.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and some of us let them stay at our table.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and that may be just out of habit, out of programming, out of, well, I don't even think you don't even realize or recognize that you have access to and the ability to craft your table, right? Because
Right.
you don't just sit at it, but you actually build it and you get to
But we don't necessarily understand that we're building it.
no,
And
right.
we
And
don't
that's what
understand.
I want to bring into awareness
Yeah,
today.
we don't understand that we have the right to pick out and build the kind of table that we want because, we grow up and we have certain beliefs given to us, some of which we never questioned. And those come with, there's some old relationships in our lives. We have obligations. We quote on air. I'm air quoting here,
Right.
because
The only, by the way, the only obligations we have are the ones that we create within ourselves
Absolutely.
and choose to allow.
absolutely
That's why you're air quoting. But
that's
it's
exactly
been what's
right.
been passed down to us, right?
Right.
And
right.
so what you're saying is if we don't consciously choose the table, our past will start to fill the seats for us.
And do indeed fill up the seats at your table. There won't be room for anybody else for you to invite. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a couple of questions that I would ask. Do you keep wondering, how many of us, because I'm going to include me in this, how many of us keep wondering, why do I feel drained?
Mm-hmm.
But we never stop and think, who am I allowing at the table with me?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And because, here's the deal. Access to you is not an automatic thing. Access to you is something that has to do with alignment. Who is aligning
Yes.
with who I am, and who do I want to join and
Right.
align with?
And who is it that is in alignment with who I'm becoming?
Right.
Right. And to some degree, this works on automatic. When we begin to change within ourselves, the group around us will change if we allow it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important to recognize that that's part.
Again, you're underscoring a lot of choice here.
Yes.
You're underscoring a great deal of choice
Yeah.
here
And I want to.
that a lot of people just don't think they have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to asterisk, right? Like, as we're talking about this quote unquote, who are you allowing at your table? We are primarily talking about other people, but there's also a what involved.
Yep.
Who and what are you allowing at your table?
Yep.
And the what can encompass behaviors of yours and those around you, what you're allowing in
Yep.
your life.
Yep.
And also the who can be, as I said, not just literally physically, but also who are you carrying around in your head, which includes some of the things we talk about, like those old patterns of behavior and thinking that were passed down, right?
Right. And
It's
that
that
we never question.
Right, it's
Because we don't know that we can.
It's the old saying, I opened my mouth and my mother came out, right?
Yeah.
So it's that same idea of, whoa, okay, who am I carrying with me? Who's got a seat at my table?
And the other thing besides that is if your parents are still with you, and you go home sometimes, when you walk into the door, does it feel sometimes like I've taken a step back in time internally?
Right.
That all of a sudden, on the outside, I'm a highly successful individual with a this and a that and the other thing.
Right, with a family of your own, perhaps, right?
But when I walk into my parents' door and interact a bit with, let's say, my parents or my siblings or all of a sudden now, do you feel like, okay, I've lost me, or I've lost a significant part of me?
Right.
Yeah. So, all right, let's build the table. We won't decorate it and stain it and make it pretty, but let's just, because the T, and I love what you've done here with table. So the T is trust.
Right. So briefly before we go into it, right, what I've done is made an acronym, TABLE.
Yep.
And each of them stand for an idea of, okay, this is going to be sort of a sieve, if you will, or a filter of who belongs at my table.
It helps you
in a healthy,
determine who's a healthy person to invite to your table. So the T is trust, right?
Right.
And the A is acceptance. And again, we're gonna unpack these. Okay. And the B is balance. Could also be boundaries. Yeah. The L is love, and the E is evolution.
Yes.
So there's your table. I love what you've done here.
Well, like
did it just kind of download to you?
Yeah. Well, like I said, every morning.
Well, you don't give yourself credit. You give credit a lot of times to your people that you talk to every morning. But I
do have to take credit for being able to receive and bring it through.
I would hope so, because it wouldn't be coming into the world if you didn't bring it into the world. I remember a conversation that you and I had with Neil Donald Walsh, who brought all of the Conversations with God books through to the world. And I remember you sharing with him what you do, and he gave you a label for it that I hadn't had before.
Yeah, which is a bring through.
A bring through, yeah. And that's what he started calling his, as, he published all those Conversations with God books, but he never stopped talking to his source.
Yeah.
And that was one of his main messages, is that everybody can talk to their source. I mean, one of his main messages is, hey, I'm not anything special. You can do this too.
Sure, because we're all connected.
Yeah.
So
but I have to, and that gets us right into the T. Because I have to trust that.
Yes,
right?
It is. It's the foundation of everything, right?
Yeah.
And trust in the idea of who can sit at my table is not just, do I trust them, the person? That is part of it. Right. Right? But it's also, do they trust me? And maybe most importantly, do they trust themselves?
Okay. So let's go back to the, you trusting you.
Okay.
Why is that? Why does that matter?
Trusting myself?
Yeah, because I trust, I may be able to identify, so-and-so, I trust them, such and such, I trust her.
Well,
I trust. And I think they trust themselves. But why is it important that, I put myself in here?
Well, because it's the foundation, right? People who don't trust themselves tend to second guess everything, including you, right? Okay. And so I would argue, even if you said to me, well, I trust so-and-so, I trust Jack, but I don't trust myself, well, then you really don't trust Jack.
Yeah.
Because you can't trust Jack if you don't trust yourself to trust Jack. You follow?
Oh, I see exactly what you're saying. And when I hear it, it makes such sense. Mm-hmm. When I hear you talk about it, it's just that a lot of us don't talk about stuff like this.
No.
We don't examine stuff like this.
Well, because I think we have such an over focus on external, and we have an exaggerated external locus of control as a society, right? We are so eager to give away that power.
Locus of control just means that either we have an external locus of control. We let other people and things control us,
Right.
or we have an internal locus of control. It comes from within us.
And surprisingly enough, when you have a sense of mistrust in yourself, and like we said, that external locus of control, that actually shows up often as needing to control or inconsistency or that needing constant reassurance is a sign that, hey, I don't even trust myself.
Yeah. So why would I trust anybody else? So, I hope folks who are listening are, getting this now. This is something that you can feel.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel it, and you can especially feel it in terms of how you're calm. There's not a constant tension in your life, if you will.
Right. Yeah. It's like exhaling.
So we're talking about your table today. Who are you letting sit at your table? And look at all of the folks around your table. Think about it, and ask yourself, who really belongs at this table, and who might I uninvite to my table?
Who needs to have their seat removed?
Yeah, exactly.
Play little musical chairs here.
Oh, there you go. Who's at your table? That's today here on Strategies for Living. Of course, we've got much more to come. You know that. So stay right where you are. Stay with us. More Strategies for Living coming back.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
You need some strategies? We just happen to have a few. Welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. Asking the question today, who belongs at our table? And, who do you have at your table now? And let's talk about, the T is for trust.
Mm-hmm.
The A is acceptance.
Or accept, yeah.
Yeah. So, again, this is a they, you kind of thing, isn't it?
Right. In terms of it doesn't mean agreeing on everything.
Right.
Right. But it also means I'm going to accept myself as who I am, but I also want whoever's at my table to accept me as who I am and themselves.
There you
as.
go. There you go. So this is not about tolerating dysfunction, but it is about who are you? One of those basic questions that we all need to grapple with is, who am I?
Right.
What am I doing here? Where am I going?
And you don't have to have to have a full answer to that question in order to move into acceptance.
Right.
Right. It's just about allowing and saying, hey, I see you, and I'm not trying to turn you into someone or something that you're not.
Right.
And it's about being able to hold that for yourself as well as others, right?
Yeah.
Because without acceptance, relationships can become projects or fixer-uppers or,
And true, solid and true, real connection doesn't require you to become somebody else.
Right.
And now, I may tread into some controversial waters here.
Let's go.
But I'm gonna tread anyway. A big part of this has to do, if we grew up in a religious environment, a religious home, we were given a certain number of beliefs. Mm-hmm. And there are many people, many people who, they practice those beliefs for a little while until they can't. Mm. And then many of them fall away and say, well, religion doesn't work for me. Well, the fact is that whatever religion you might have been taught and quote unquote born into may not work for you.
Right.
But there's a myriad of different beliefs out
Hundreds
there.
of thousands. Yeah.
And, even in the Christian religion alone, I mean, there's some 40,000 different ways of expressing Christianity.
Well, that's documented and has particular ways.
Yeah, there's
We're not
probably
talking about the people.
There's probably
right?
way more than that, but we're talking about separate denominations,
Right.
separate ways of practicing. Each one separates because there's a little difference. And sometimes it may just be a nuance, but there's a difference in believing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, don't mean to be controversial, but what I do want us all to think about is, can it really be yours if it's been passed down to you, but you've never really put it under the light? You've never really looked at it and maybe asked the question that you're asking and we're asking today is, does this align?
Yes.
Does this align with who I am? Does this align with our values? I think that's why a lot of people may drop and then, quote unquote, blame religion. And it may not be religion's fault.
Right.
It may be your responsibility. Okay, well, if the one you happen to be born into, if there's certain beliefs that you, okay.
Not to mention that, even with all of the many denominations that you could possibly have been a part of as a child, that's also filtered through your familial culture.
Right.
Right. So the just to pick on Catholicism, the Catholicism of one family may be expressed and practiced completely different.
Most definitely,
right.
especially after Vatican II.
Right.
And actually that disturbance is very much alive and well right now within the Catholic Church, because you have the post-Vatican II people, and then you have the ones that kind of want to go back and just let's throw out Vatican II. Let's say it didn't work. Let's turn the altar around and start the Latin Mass again. And again, this is very much alive and well within and dialogue going on within the Catholic Church, right? So trust, acceptance, and the B word.
the two B
the
words.
two B
right?
words, yeah. But these B words, we end up talking about them a lot here on Strategies, don't we?
Yeah, they're important.
Balance
We did.
and boundaries.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is where a lot of people struggle. I mean, I think the other two can be a struggle as well, but then this is also maybe an asterisk struggle, right? Because we often weren't taught this, right? And I think balance means there's mutual respect, there's mutual responsibility,
Right.
and then there's the clear, healthy boundaries.
Right.
Right. So without balance, there's going to be overgiving or overtaking. And again, just like we mentioned on the show yesterday, this is not to say, oh, well, they're taking more from me. If you notice that you feel out of balance, that's an internal work.
Right.
That's to say, oh, well, if I'm overgiving, if I feel like I'm being taken from, there's a boundary that I can set within me to fix that.
Yeah. Yeah.
To make me feel to gain back that energy for myself.
Absolutely.
Right?
But again, it's about being in healthy relationship, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because healthy relationships breathe,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's a grip, then we can't breathe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty basic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can say no without fear.
Yep.
Right? You're not carrying the emotional weight for people. I mean, healthy relationships don't feel tight.
Yeah.
They're spacious. And so that should be a clue for you. I think we can all, if we think about a relationship we have and we can feel that somatically in our body, that tightening, that's an indicator of, okay, something needs to shift there.
Yeah, I'll give an illustration on myself, again, having to do with religion. This goes back many, 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 many years, more years than I care to remember. But, Catholics back in my day and I'm 69 years old. So back in my day, Catholics were taught, don't you go in another church, right? Or synagogue or whatever. That's
Right.
not okay. I don't think that's the same way that it's taught today. But anyway, I was invited to a bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
So I was invited to the Jewish synagogue
Right.
for a bar mitzvah service. And I really wanted to honor this family and this young man who was making this major step in his life.
Right.
And ultimately, I decided to go.
Okay.
Cried like a baby.
Yeah.
Absolutely one of the most touching ceremonies that I've ever been to, and surprising. And what I mean by surprising is that so many of the prayers sounded familiar to me.
Sure.
They sounded like prayers we say every Sunday. And that was a major turning point for me.
Yeah.
You know, okay, well, this is a belief that was handed to me. Why do I believe that? And if I had certainly stuck to what I was, air quote here, supposed to do, I would have never had that experience, you know, and I wouldn't have honored that family and that young man, nor would I have learned something so important in my life to help propel me forward, so that, you know, I can walk into any place of worship, and I may not agree with everything that place of worship believes, but I can respect it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I I'm going to add that with boundaries and balance, we're not just talking about people, right?
Right.
This is also about who and what you spend your time with.
Right.
Who and what you allow into the table.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So notice within yourself, okay, where am I out of balance, and how can I boundary that into more balance?
You can say no to anything.
Yeah.
And you know, and hopefully the relationship still feels safe. That's one of the ways you know that
Yes.
you've got you know, if who's ever at your table, if even when you disagree with one of these people at the table, we still have a mutual respect for each other.
Yes.
And we still treat each other well. We realize, okay, well,
Because
we may
the
not
first-
agree on everything.
Because the first two are in play.
Right.
That's the trust and accept.
Right.
If I know that I can trust myself and they trust me and we trust each other and we both can accept each other as who we are in the moment, then this whatever may come and you'll remain at the table as mutual cheerleaders for each other, right? Cheering each other on.
Absolutely. You know, Lauren, too many times the tables that we allow to, you know, continue in our lives, they're real crowded. And at a table that's healthy, there's space for everybody,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And there's not any emotional crowding. Too many times we've got somebody or some bodies at our table and it feels packed, it feels crowded.
Yeah.
And that might come from one or two individuals, you know,
Sure.
or it
Yeah.
might come
I
from
think-
one or two organizations that are at our table.
Yeah. And I think the more you work on doing this, getting in alignment, oftentimes the smaller your table becomes. But that's not such a bad thing,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
about knowing that, okay, well, who is here at my table really matters and really helps me to grow in life.
You ever
And I
been
trust-
you ever been at a big, you know, holiday celebration, maybe a big Thanksgiving with lots and lots of family?
Yeah.
And the table's so big, you want to visit with somebody way down there,
But
right?
you can't.
But you can't.
Right.
Because the table's too crowded, too big. And you end up saying, gosh, you know, I wish he or she were down here closer so we could talk, you know?
Yeah.
Who's at your table? Talking about it today here on Strategies for Living. Kind of a different take. This is something that I've, you know, never thought about this or heard of it before, but Lauren has.
Here we are.
So here we are at the table here on Strategies for Living. We'll be right back.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies Strategies for living radio.
Welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. Who's at your table? That's what we're considering today.
Yeah.
Sometimes the table is bumpy.
Did I bump again?
You did. You bumped again. That's
Oh,
okay.
well.
I didn't
I
exactly.
was scooching my chair up,
I know.
to
I
the
didn't-
table.
you wanted to get up close here to the table. All right. So who's at your table? And what we're talking about, what we've talked about so far is trust, acceptance, balance, and boundaries. And by the way, so we're to love. We're to one of the favorite parts now. Love
Yes.
is the L. But you might be at this point saying, geez, I didn't get this part or I didn't get that part of the program. And you know there's a simple solution for that.
That's it.
If you're listening to us on the radio, and I hope you are, people listen to radio sometimes 20, 25, 30 minutes at a time, but maybe you don't get the whole show. Well, any program that you want in its entirety, know that we're in podcast form.
That's right.
So all you got to do is go wherever you like to get your podcast. We're on all the major platforms, whether it's Spotify or Apple or iHeart or, any of those. And just search Strategies for Living, and we'll come up.
And subscribe.
And subscribe to us, and you don't ever have to miss a show.
That's right.
Yeah. So, okay, L is for love. The Beatles said this is all we need.
Well, yeah, and I agree, right? And this may seem obvious, but it's actually where a lot of confusion happens, I think.
What do you mean?
Well, because love isn't just a word, right? And it's not just a feeling.
Yeah.
It's actually the way that we relate to each other. It's a way of being, right? It encompasses the ideas of kindness and presence and goodwill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it shows up as consistency, not intensity.
So if you show up or somebody else shows up in your life consistently,
right,
you're saying that's love.
Yes.
Okay. So love isn't just words.
Right.
It's not what I say. It's more what happens. What happens in our relationship.
It's how someone treats you when things aren't easy. Right?
Okay. Well, that's important because we all know that life for any of us and all of us is going to get less than easy sometimes. Let's just say it that way.
Right,
huh?
right.
Yeah.
There's going to be some hard patches in all of life, right?
Right.
And so it's that love there's a warmth, right? Even through the hard conversations, right?
Yeah.
It feels like being held and considered.
Yeah.
You feel valued, not just when you're useful, but you feel valued as a person.
So even in those hard conversations, there's warmth. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, that all makes very good sense to me. And no disrespect to any of the other, the T or the A or the B, but I think the Beatles are right.
Love encompasses it all.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it is, and I think if it's real love, it helps us all to grow, which I guess then merges into the E.
We're sitting at a round table in our office, which is where we broadcast, and this particular table has a leaf. The leaf is not in it right now, but the leaf could be love. So it's what holds the other pieces together, if you will. That's where I'm getting the idea of, it is a connector.
Yeah.
It connects everything. I just looked down at the table and realized, well, there's an insert that we don't have in, and it would connect the two sides.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's interesting too, right? In that you don't always see it.
No, absolutely
but
not.
it's there because it's holding everything together.
It's holding everything
right?
together, right? And then finally, last but not least, the E is for evolution.
Yeah, or to evolve, right?
Yeah, to evolve.
And this is one I think people don't talk about enough, right? Because in order to be able to stay at the table, I want our relationship to be growing.
Yep.
And to grow. So I want to be able to grow myself, and I want you to grow, and I want us to grow together.
And that's everybody that's at your table.
Yes.
You know,
everybody that's at my table,
yeah.
I need to be allowed to grow as a person. And I need them to help me grow, and I want to help them grow.
And you hope they're growing too. I
Right.
mean, not that you're going to throw them out if they're not. Everybody gets to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But as you grow, again, that acceptance piece that
Yes.
we've talked about earlier needs to come into play, right?
Right. And if somebody resists your growth, right, that's a sign that they're attached to an older version of you,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes these relationships are built on who you were, not
who you
you're
are now.
becoming, not who you are or who you're becoming. And that can be a point where you say, okay, maybe I need to not allow them into the inner table as much anymore.
If the relationship you're in isn't evolving, it may be limiting you. It may be quietly limiting you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're meant to grow, we're meant to change, and we're meant to evolve.
Yeah.
I mean, we see that at the very smallest level of our being and our biology. Everything is always moving, always changing all the time.
Yeah.
And so we're meant to metamorphosize, right?
I like that. Yeah. So do you sometimes feel stuck in an old version of yourself? Is some of that, could that be from some of the, hanging out with some of the people that are around your table right now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's important to look at your table in all senses of the word, right? Your mental table. Who are you? Who or what is in your mind and in your thought space? Who or what are you feeling, and who or what is in your physical space?
Right.
I mean, again, I've stressed it throughout the episode, but it's about choice. You have an ability to choose who or what you allow into that space and at your table.
Right. And, this idea, and this is a hard truth, if you will. Sometimes people confuse love with access and access with love. They confuse history with alignment, and they confuse guilt with responsibility. And in each one of those cases, access, love, history, alignment, guilt, responsibility, they're not the same. But we confuse them. We mix them up.
Yeah.
And if we don't get real clear,
here's the deal. You can love someone and still not give them a seat at your table. In fact, it can be the most loving thing that you do for yourself and the other person.
Sure.
Is not to allow them at your table.
Right. Because they get to choose what kind of table they build for themselves and who they let around their
They
table.
may belong and grow better at another table. So
There
let them
you
go.
There you go. So, who's at your table? What an idea. Who are you who are you inviting? Or who are you allowing to remain at your table? Something to think about today here on Strategies for Living. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, talking about and considering who are we letting at our table today? Who are we allowing to be there? Who are we inviting to our table? Because it's important.
Yes.
It's important. And
Absolutely.
What's your takeaway? This is good stuff, Lauren.
I'm glad you like it. I think hopefully it gives us a place to look at and to use the word, okay, just to give us a vantage point of how to talk about this, right?
Yeah.
So, take a moment and look at your table, not with judgment, but with some honesty.
Yep.
And ask, who brings peace? Who brings pressure?
And you don't have to go around the table and jerk the chair out from under everybody at once.
And you don't have to flip the table, right?
No.
But you're allowed to rearrange the seats.
You are.
Right?
You are.
Because your life is shaped by who you sit with and who you allow to sit with you.
I'm glad you said that, because some of us have we're comfortable with much bigger tables than other people.
Sure.
We gave the the idea of the big Thanksgiving table, and somebody that I really want to talk to is way down there and I don't get to. So that's another idea that in this table thing.
Yeah, you can rearrange the seats. Who sits next to you?
Yeah, you get to do the seating arrangements. That's pretty good.
And hopefully this has given you a good idea. I hope the people at your table are people you can trust, people who accept you and accept themselves, people who allow boundaries and balance, who love you and help you to evolve into a better person.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Who's at your table? Folks, thank you. Thank you for being at our table today here on Strategies for Living. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX. We train your brain. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of The Godfather, Alligator Italian sausage, and some pretty good muffies too. SRT Sales Training, Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who is it that you'd call? What is it that you'd say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillan, I'm David McMillan. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.